Welcome to episode 16 of Deeper Perspectives, the #1 spearfishing podcast in the world. Today we're going to talk about shaft flex, kind of a term I might have made up. Not shaft whip, which is when the shaft is overpowered from the beginning and comes squirrely out of the gun. Something that definitely happens, but probably not the stock guns and easily correctable. But this is one that people don't talk about as much, and we've termed it shaft flex. And what it is when the shaft actually hits the fish, but rather than penetrating right through like it ideally would, you get flex, loss of energy, loss of penetration. And we're going to talk about when that's happening, why that's happening. Alright, so first up, check out this chart. Just a slight increase in diameter can yield a large change in mass. For instance, we just use 6.5 millimeters as our baseline here because it's a common shaft used on Euro guns. But if you were to go to a 5/16 inch shaft, I know some guys, Spencer Haskins, I think is one that hunts with that on the reef. You haven't increased the diameter that much. I mean, it would be really hard for you to see, in fact, but it's in fact 1.5 times the mass of that 6.5 millimeter shaft, an additional 50%. So with that comes a whole lot more weight. Watch a 6.5 millimeter shaft in action right here. Just shooting a moo. What you'll see as it hits it, see the shaft deflect a little bit. That's the shaft flex I'm talking about. Go frame by frame here. Obviously the moo gets whacked, and as he moves and as the shaft tries to work its way through, a lot of bend. I mean, I'm not a physicist, I don't know how much power you lose there, but it has to be a lot. Again, this is my catcher working on a moo. Shoots him right in that big dense face. Look at the thing wiggle. The shaft, that is. Big flex. Go frame by frame on this one again. You see him there. Doesn't even know what's about to hit him. Shaft gets a little closer. Alright, right here I think the shaft is hitting him, and you can see it's pretty squared up on the fish. But as it tries to work its way through, it's making a big bow. Now it's bowing back the other way. I think we're one more frame forward here. The shaft is finished penetrating. It's not going any further. And it's just quivering at this point. And that in fact was not a 6.5 millimeter shaft. That was probably a 9/32, so a step up. In theory, that should have more punching power because it has more momentum. Although that's theory. That's just a bunch of calculation. The real world test is really what we need to find out about that. Now, obviously, you can't just go to a bigger shaft thinking, well, now I've got the punching power, zip it right through these fish, because you're going to need a bigger gun, more bands to propel that shaft, and the larger gun will be needed for the recoil. So it all has to be in balance. But let's take a look one more time at what can happen with the bigger shaft. This is Hatch with a 9/32 shaft. You can see the shaft just barely held on there. Right, so here it is in slow motion again, and we'll break it down frame by frame. So the Uku's already starting to run before the shaft even hits him. Keep an eye on the shooting line too, and that kind of shows you the length of the shot. He still has that much shooting line left, and obviously the Uku has at this point been hit. Now you don't really see any shaft flex like we're talking about, but the shaft just dies, runs out of airspeed, because right here it has turned from being perpendicular to the fish to parallel to that fish's motion. Just wherever the fish is going to drag it, that's where it's going. No more penetration. So what are the implications, I guess, the sort of remedies for this? Well, one, maybe a sharper shaft would have got it through. Two, the fish was kicking, and that was really to the detriment of the shaft kind of working its way through, but not anything you can do about that. Fish kick. Three, a different size shaft. I don't know what would have happened. Actually, a thinner shaft presumably would have had more velocity, just less momentum. So I don't know in the end what that would have resulted in, or even a thicker shaft. And we need a pool in order to really get to the bottom of that. And a pool I do not have, but some of you might. And so, kids, next time your parents go out of town, you get on Facebook and look up Deeper Perspectives and have us over. We'll bring over an arsenal of guns, and we'll get to the bottom of this mess. I, in fact, once built an indoor swimming pool in my house. And in fact, my mom was even there. My dad was off fighting terrorists, but my mom, we just sort of built it under her nose. And, well, she wasn't overly happy. In fact, it's hard to tell exactly what she said with the door slamming. I think it was something like, "I could kill you." But I'm still alive, so I think that's the moral of the story. We need a pool. So let's get this done.